Get in on the action this season with Underdog's Pick'em game. Select higher or lower between 2 and 8 players and compete for up to 325 times your entry. Use code DIRECTOR when signing up to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. Yo, to Bolt fam, it's the Director. Chargers fans, the first of many Victory Monday episodes on the channel, man. I know it's preseason, I don't care. It was an awesome game, dude. What a fun experience that was for Chargers fans. From the excitement of Trey Lance to the dominance of the defense. We're going to recap what we saw in yesterday's game, go over some of the strengths that are starting to emerge in the terms of depth in the bottom of the roster, as well as some concerns that we have for the Chargers to hopefully address here in the next couple of weeks throughout the rest of the preseason games. All I'm going to say, man, is that the QB2 battle looks awesome all of a sudden. Defensive line looks better than I thought, and hopefully we can get more from the rookies in terms of receiving in the days to come. Because, yeah, I think we're all still waiting for some Trey Harris action, and maybe some Chargers fans getting a little impatient. Before we do kick things off, man, shout out to the sponsor, Underdog. Use code DIRECTOR to receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. If you guys want to know what I'm running so far, okay, to start the season, week 1, Chargers Chiefs, this is what I'm going with. Keep an eye for these little tokens and stuff, too. As you see at the bottom here, man, you're going to get offers all the time. And in this case, it's a 50% boost for this particular entry. That is awesome. If you guys want to jump in on the action there, use code DIRECTOR and support this channel. It really does help out a lot. Before we do kick off, hit us up with a like and sub. If you do enjoy this Chargers content, the small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out. Let's get into it, man. Lights, camera, action.
Who's got it better than us?
Into the end zone, Charger fans are witnesses to history!
The Chargers versus Saints post-game report. Let's jump right into it, baby. Some of the fun stuff that we witnessed on Sunday that maybe we can get excited about throughout the season. And, honestly, I think a lot of this is more indicative to, what the Chargers are going to be as a team. I think you're seeing that shine through even in the preseason games. A lot of people say, don't show your cards too soon. Keep them close to the vest. But at the same time, the identity of the team, what you want to be, I think that's going to be bluntly obvious no matter what level is competing on the field that week. And in this case, the Chargers backups did a lot of what I think they're going to be doing on Sundays in the regular season, right? Defense is on fire. Jesse Minter, you are a god. I don't know what to tell you, man. The dude has been absolutely insane in his first 2 years for the Chargers, the defensive coordinator. Even down at this part of the roster, it feels like things are just chiming. They're moving. The rotations look good. The DBs look insane. The pressure is constant. I'm very impressed with what we have in a lot of different areas of the defense that, of course, only allowed 13 points to New Orleans on Sunday. One of which I'm going to say we're going to get into in just a minute was that broken play touchdown. I think, that's going to help whittle down the roster a little bit. But as far as the defense as a whole, I'm very happy with where it looks like right now. There are guys that are shining through. Positions that feel like are very important to this system are working. And Jesse Minter continues to prove why he's one of the best defensive minds in football. And, of course, we're hoping to see that translate to the regular season. One of the guys I think is shining through and had an absolutely fantastic day is going to be Eric Rodgers. Now, a lot of you guys, I understand, it's a tough pill to swallow considering how his day ended, but we do want to celebrate what his day was full of, and that was picks and big plays, dude. I could not believe how many big plays were coming off of Eric Rodgers all day long, dude. It was absolutely so impressive to see what Jesse Minter's been able to identify. And also, we got to give a lot of credit to our guy, Joe Ortiz, right? And bringing these guys into the team and finding this talent, at the bottom of the roster, especially, when given the opportunity to be coached up by Jesse Minter and these guys. Something that Trey Lance mentioned, by the way. He says he wants to be coached up, and this is a great place to do it. You see that really shine through. And I feel like Eric Rodgers, dude, prime example of what the Chargers are creating, especially at the cornerback position for the team on a value. It's unbelievable what the Chargers were able to accomplish last season with their fifth-round rookies in Cam Hart and Tar Heap still. Now we're starting to see some more come in terms of undrafted free agents. Nico Reed's been looking incredible. Eric Rogers has been looking awesome. A lot of the safety, depth has been looking fantastic too. I don't know, man. I'm thoroughly impressed and very proud of how the team's looking. And in particular for this game, Eric Rogers, man, what an effort. 2 interceptions, of course, one going back for the pick 6. Showing off the frame's around 6'2", right? He's a tall corner with a lot of speed on top. If you guys play Madden Ultimate Team, this is the kind of guy you hope gets a good card because of those attributes. And obviously, he knows how to pick off the football as well, jumping up and nabbing that thing out of the air. Jumping the route as well. It looked absolutely fantastic. Everything about Eric Rogers looked like, a starting caliber corner. Really unfortunate to see the injury take him down at the end of the game because I was really looking forward to him continuing this battle to make the roster over the next 2 weeks in the preseason, and now it's kind of up in the air. For those of you guys wondering what the injury may have looked like, just from my 2 eyes, okay, I'm not a doctor, I can't tell you exactly what's going on. It looks like when he got tackled, he may have rolled his ankle, maybe landed on top of it, and whatever the case may be for recovery there, whatever that means for his remainder of the preseason, it's left to be determined, but it's very obvious he's not going to get the full opportunity to show off who he is as a football player with that injury keeping him sidelined. We're hoping that he comes back sooner rather than later. I think a lot of Chargers fans are going to be rooting for him to make the 53, which all of a sudden is becoming quite crowded, man. There's some good players all over the roster that could certainly use some attention and maybe even a chance, on the 53. Let's move on to the next player. Or the next aspect of the game that I really enjoyed. It's actually the defensive line, man. It really feels like this defensive line is shining through. And that is something that, again, kind of comes to a surprise to me. It feels like there was a lot of question marks coming into the season. But look at this, man. 5 sacks. Of course, you got, Wax and Murphy, which we're going to talk about in a second. Caldwell, Tony Jefferson. The Chargers really feel like a really dangerous team in terms of creating pressure, constant pressure. You even saw guys like Deshaun Hand getting there. I don't know if you guys remember that. He disrupted a play where I think it caused an incompletion and maybe on 3rd down. It was awesome. There was the new tackle as well. I didn't even have his number. I wasn't quite sure who it was when I was watching it, but it was Nesta Silvera, a brand new addition to the team, I think from the Raiders, who also made a play on that game. It looked awesome, man, and it instills a lot of confidence that we find these guys to help the depth and find success where we maybe saw some shortcomings at the top of the season, and it feels pretty good. And even on top of that, you got to look at what the Chargers were able to accomplish in terms of stopping the run. I saw some pretty good runs by Kendre Miller. He's an awesome running back for the Saints, and there were some pretty big moments where you're like, oh man, I think we're going to get ran all over this week. And instead, the Chargers were able to turn it around. They only allowed 39 yards to running backs this week. Of course, they did allow a bit more to the quarterback position. But for, what the position was looking like at the top of the season with the kind of competition, because I'm going to say the Saints have some pretty good depth at running back, was looking like the Chargers did a very admirable job in holding down the fort there. So defensive line looking pretty good, if I might say so myself. Congratulations to Jamari Caldwell on logging his first sack as a rookie as well. I know a lot of people were excited about that. Nice move from the interior, showed off some nice speed for a big guy. And the power there, too, looked good. So Caldwell and company looks great. But I think the biggest story of the night in terms of pressure has to come from number 50, dude. Holy cow, what's going on with this guy? Caleb Murphy. He's going absolutely crazy. He added another 2 sacks to his stats in the preseason. He's looked fantastic, constant pressure. He's been a disruptor, and now you got to really start asking yourself, who's going to be in that rotation for the Chargers in the regular season? We already know who the top 3 guys are, right? Khalil Mack, Tuli Tuipulotu, and Bud Dupree. The other 2 guys, or I should say the other guy, I'm going to say edge 4, that position right now is kind of up in the air. And right now, a lot of us at the top of the season, or I should say top of the preseason and the offseason, we're very much so expecting that to be Kyle Kennard. the draft selection by the Chargers earlier this season, who looks really good, by the way. Like, at least coming into the league, he looks like he could have some potential, but he hasn't been really showing it so far in training camp nor in preseason. I don't think he's suited up for this particular game, but we're waiting to kind of see that flash from him. Meanwhile, Caleb Murphy really is popping off, and it begs the question, do the Chargers roster 5 edge players? I don't think they let Kyle Kennard, go, considering he was a 4th-round pick, right? And that's something that the Chargers are going to be invested in. They're going to want to make sure that he's developed properly, because the potential certainly still does exist there. But I also don't want to let go of Caleb Murphy, who's proving to be maybe one of the more reliable options on the roster to rotate in at edge 4. So Caleb Murphy, fantastic. Another 2 sacks. He's a disruptor. He's been one of the biggest playmakers of the preseason so far. Him and Eric Rodgers and these guys, absolutely part of this defense that's making Jesse Minter look so good on game day. Last couple of guys I want to mention before we go to offense. R.J. Mickens has been making some noise. Couldn't find a photo of him, honestly, on this game, which is kind of bothersome. But at the same time, he's been looking great. 9 tackles. He had that quarterback hit. He had pass defended. He looks absolutely awesome, and I like the way he tackles too. Nice and aggressive. Tackles low on those big guys. He's been looking great, and his awareness looks like about where the level I was expecting when he was drafted late by the Chargers. I feel like this was a great steal. And with the Bolts moving Derwin James around as much as they do, and how much they rely on the depth for safety, it feels like R.J. Mickens is just such a great get, and he continues to show why and make plays in the preseason. So I would fully expect him, obviously, to be on the roster, but who knows how much he's involved in the regular season. He's starting to instill some confidence in me, at least, even as a later pick by the Chargers this year. Some things they got to work on, and I think this is mainly going to go towards, like, who's going to be making the roster, those kinds of predictions. Triquez Bridges, unfortunately, was probably one of the biggest not so great performers in this game. That's all I'm going to say, dude. He had himself a bad day. He continued to get dunked on over and over and over again. I think the biggest one Chargers fans will remember was that very deep pass by Tyler Shuck. He hit one of his receivers on a broken play. Triquez just got absolutely burned, and that happened a few times. I think it was 3 or 4 times in this game, and I think it actually added up to around 98 yards and a touchdown. 4 out of 5 completions against him, which is pretty bad. At that point, you're going to start picking on a corner that's struggling that hard. And unfortunately for Bridges, even though I love, like a lot like with Eric Rodgers, his frame, he's got a really nice frame of like 6'1", 6'2", maybe even 6'3", with some nice speed on him. He's constantly finding himself in a struggle to keep up, which is unfortunate because, there's going to be other guys, man, that are really stepping in. It might have, this game in particular, might put his job in danger a little bit, at least in terms of making the 53. I think that, obviously, as a 7th-round pick, there's a great chance that he sticks around as a practice squad guy, but there are other dudes creeping in, like Nico Reed and Eric Rodgers, hopefully, who can come in and recover. That puts, Bridges in a spot of danger. So I think it's also indicative of what the Chargers have in terms of their other signings. We're looking really good in some spots. It's okay if Bridges doesn't hit as a 7th-round pick because we found other guys from other resources. So Bridges, we're hoping for a bounce back, but definitely not his best game, and a player maybe to watch in terms of a cut candidate. All right. Now, one of my favorite stories from the preseason game, if you guys watched my postseason, or I should say post-game report on Bleacher Report, you'll know that one of my favorite stories from this game is going to be Trey Lance. Man, the quarterback 2 competition is alive and well. And like I said on that show, at the top of the preseason, top of the offseason, it was pretty clear to me who the quarterback 2 is. And I don't think that's over with, not by a long shot. I think the Chargers are definitely going to give Taylor Heineke some more opportunity to go out there and put some tape together to compare against Trey Lance and DJU. But holy cow, has Trey Lance been a whole lot of fun to watch. I'm starting to become a bit of a Trey Lance fan myself. And it's because he has a pretty fun way of playing the game. Obviously, I think the mobility is what brings the excitement for a lot of Chargers fans, and it's something that this team ultimately is going to put forward as a value in his contributions, if he were to be QB2, being able to run with the football is pretty valuable. And it's something that, of course, Justin Herbert has the capability to do. We don't see it as much because they want to protect their franchise QB, but there are situations where, if Trey Lance needs to step in and play a little quarterback, having that mobility and that extra, part of your game in your back pocket is something that coaches, I'm sure, would love to work with. And he did very well in this game. Of course, the rushing touchdown and that drive alone, he had 30 yards, rushing by himself. He looked awesome. Of course, the passing maybe didn't look quite as good. We're going to get to that in a second. I think some of the receivers are struggling a little bit. We saw a lot of drops, unfortunately, some really good passes by Trey Lance and a lot of drops, unfortunately. The Chargers really got to clean up. I know that's the last thing Chargers fans want to see. But this really does beg the question, who is going to be QB2 for this team? Taylor Heineke, he's been a good quarterback in his career, but it really feels like Trey Lance is gaining momentum. He's starting to realize some of that potential that he had so many years ago, and it's really cool to see this narrative unfold on the Chargers, who, again, have done this several times with several other players. Guys getting extensions with other teams because of their rebirth on the Chargers for that one season, like Poona Ford and Christian Fulton, Elijah Moulton, J.K. Dobbins, now Trey Lance. You're going to see a few more on the roster by season's end. I can almost guarantee it. Really, really cool. And so you guys let me know in the comment section below, who do you think is QB2 for the Chargers when the season kicks off? Right now, it's hard for me because, Heineke's a good quarterback, but I'm hoping it's actually Trey Lance at that point. He's been looking great. He has to keep it up, though. There's a few more preseason games to get to continue proving that. Another thing to point out, the Chargers' run game continues to look strong. This is going to be an identity focus of the team going forward, and it's something that I like seeing succeed even at the preseason game level, if that makes sense. It's because, again, like I said at the top of the show, it's the identity of this team seeping through. And this team wants to run the football, and you got some good runners on the team, like you're seeing here with Hassan Haskins. Of course, you got Damarian Hampton, Najee Harris to look forward to as well. But it's a part of the game that I think is going to really help the Chargers close things out a lot this season. It's not just enough to score. You want to take control of the clock, take control of the game, and keep the football away from your opponent. And it feels like the Chargers have done a really good job of that the last couple of weeks with their run game. Looks good. And all I can say is I'm excited to see what it looks like with the starters in there, eventually in week one. Maybe in a couple of weeks we see him in the last week of preseason. Maybe we get a little sample size next week too. But obviously the depth is looking awesome too, because we saw another running back have himself an awesome week. Last week it was Kamani Vidal. This week it was Rocket Sanders. And this is a player I know a lot of Chargers fans were excited when he was added as an undrafted free agent. He looks so good. I could not believe that we landed him, and now he's showing out on the Chargers. It's a good time to be a Chargers fan, man. This dude had the touchdown. He had the moves. He's got that nasty one cut and burst and speed, able to find the edge, and that's how he got into the end zone for that touchdown. He looks awesome, dude. It's almost a blessing and a curse because he's so good. I do not want to get rid of him. And it's kind of the same way, like Caleb Murphy and Eric Rodgers and these guys. You got some really good depth on this team this season at certain positions. And Rocket Sanders and the running backs look just so good. And it's a reminder to show, how good the Chargers are likely going to be running the football this season. So Rocket Sanders, you can add his name to the list of running backs that look really good in the pinch if you want to throw him in there a couple times a game or whatever. He's got the speed. Obviously, he had the power. He had the moves. The shiftiness was awesome, man. And he's got the size you're looking for, too. So Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders, looking great. The one running back I'm going to say had a really bad day, though, which was surprising because he had such a good outing in the Hall of Fame game, was unfortunately Nahhem Hines. Hines, dude, he did something incredible this game, which I need to give him credit for. His blocking in pass pro was unbelievable. The touchdown for Trey Lance, actually in that entire Trey Lance drive, he had some of the nastiest blocks I've seen at the running back position this preseason so far. We got to give him credit there. He looks great as a blocker. But unfortunately, when it came to the special teams, reps that he got, he did not look good at all. The 2 fumbles, fortunately he was able to recover one of them, was pretty devastating and likely cost him the opportunity to do that in the future, which is unfortunate because I feel like maybe the flexibility for him to play special teams was one of the things working for him to fight for a spot on the roster. Now you got to ask yourself, do you even want him out there? Because the 2 fumbles in one game is pretty devastating. Maybe got in his own head. Hopefully he's able to shake it off and maybe still contribute on the practice squad, but that's going to really hinge his chances at making the 53. Finally, the last topic on the running backs I want to discuss was the depth, okay? The Chargers have a lot of good running backs. It's going to be tough, dude. Obviously, Nahhem Hines maybe, towards the bottom now. There's Jarrett Patterson and those guys that probably are practice squad guys we're talking about. But who's making the 53? Right? We got Najee Harris and Martin Hampton, top 2. Kamani Vidal feels like a lock at running back 3. Then Hassan Haskins at 4. We've talked about this before. Where can we fit Rocket Sanders in here? Can we roster 5 running backs? Can we do that? Because, I don't want to give up Rocket Sanders. He just looks like he's going to be something in the NFL. And it's crazy that we have that many running backs, but you guys let me know. It feels like maybe there's one guy that's going to have to be cut. It feels like it might have to be Rocket, which I really don't want to see happen. But it's very interesting. Maybe they can move Hassan Haskins to fullback and just... let him do that. I don't know. It's crazy. It's some really good depth, the Chargers running back spot this season, which ultimately is a good thing. Last couple of things, though, I do want to focus on is the pass offense struggles. This is where the Chargers, again, I'm very glad that the run game looks good, but the passing game, there are some concerns here. For a long time in this game, it was Arundé Gadsden, who was the leading receiver with 2 catches, I think only 15 yards, and he looked pretty good in this game. I'm not going to lie. He's starting to warm up a little bit, but the Chargers, they got to find some consistency out there, man. There's a couple of drops by Conklin, which was kind of concerning. One of them wasn't definitely not on him, but the other one certainly was. You want to see consistency from your tight ends, certainly. Gaskin looks fine, but the wide receivers I'm kind of struggling with, man. Where are the rookies? Trey Harris, Keandre Lambert-Smith. What happened there? We saw a little bit of Luke Grimm, I think, in special teams. Campbell looked pretty good in that one catch. Holy crap by DJU. Holy crap, what a play. But outside of that, we haven't seen much in the first 2 weeks of the Chargers preseason, including the Hall of Fame game. And to instill more confidence, I know I feel a lot better with Keenan Allen on the roster, but I need to see something from these guys too. You can't just put it all on Keenan and Ladd McConkey. Trey Harris, a second-round pick, we need to see some plays. Even Keandre Lambert, he looked great last week. Nothing this week. We got to find some consistency here, So that's one thing I think I really hope to see in this next week versus the Rams in our next preseason game. But till then, it feels like there's a lot of other good things happening. But, a passing game that's struggling that hard, it's going to wipe away a lot of the accolades you're making on the other side of the football on defense and even what you're doing on the run game on offense. So you guys let me know what you think. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you like what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. How do we keep Rocket on the roster, man? We got to figure this out.